This set is based on simple calculation, and it is one of the easiest sets in LR. So it is a must attempt set. Here it is given that in a query answering module called help me, students ask their query which are based on four subjects areas, namely DI, LR, QA and VA. The queries enter the module as soon as they are asked and remain there until they are answered. All queries that are received in the first half of the day are counted as a part of that day, and the ones received in the second half are counted as a part of the next day. There are four persons: Doody, Anu, Sam, and Teru, who are responsible for answering queries. Queries are answered only in the second half of the day. The following table gives the number of unanswered queries of previous week, 15th to 21st May 2015, from the four subject areas by the end of the week. So in the mentioned week, the pending queries from DI area was 24, and that from LR 17, and similarly we can check the same for other two subject areas as well. The information regarding the number of new queries received in the current week, 22nd to 28th May 2015, is given in the table below. The table shows the query received across the four subject areas from Monday to Saturday. On Monday, 10 queries were received from DI area and 2 from LR, 5 from QA and 2 from VA. Similarly, we can see the figure for other days. It is also given that queries based on VA are answered by Sam. Tiru answer queries based on QA only, and Sam answers query on VA only. This is important. Sam is the only guy who is responsible for VA query, and he does not answer query from any other areas. And it is also known that Thiru answers queries based on QA only. He does not answer queries from any other subject areas. But it should not be misconstrued that QA queries are answered by Thiru only, because it is just given that Thiru answers queries based on QA, but it is not given that all the queries from QA area are answered by Thiru only. And it is also known that in the current week, if the number of queries answered by Doody, Anu, Sam, and Thiru on any day from Monday to Saturday are denoted by D, A, S, and T respectively, then it was observed that D was greater or equal to 6 and less or equal to 12, which means Doody answered at least 6 query and on each of the 6 days of the week, and at most 12 queries. Similarly, we can see Sam answered at least 5 queries on each of the 6 days and not more than 10 queries on any of the 6 days. And it is also given that no queries admitted or answered on Sunday. Now come to the questions. In first question, we are asked on which day of the current week could Sam answer the maximum possible number of queries. Maximum possible number of queries that Sam can answer on a day is 10. So we have to check on which day can Sam answer 10 queries. If we see queries received from VA area on Monday, it is 2. So if we just talk about the current query, then it was not possible for him to answer 10 queries on Monday, but we have to consider the case of pending queries of previous week as well. From VA area, there were 14 pending queries from the previous week, and if we add two more queries of Monday, then total number of queries at the end of Monday must have been 16. So one may think he could have answered 10 queries on that day, but we have to take care of one very vital info, that he answered 5 query on each of the 6 days of the week. But had he answered 10 queries on Monday, then this condition would have not fructified. So if we see number of queries received on first 4 days in the given week, it is just 10, and if we add 4 queries of previous week, then it becomes 24. He answered 24, he could have answered 24 queries on first 4 days. Subject to constraint, he must have answered at least 5 queries on each days. So he had to answer 20 queries on the first 4 days of the week. And if this was the case, then there was no way he could have answered 10 query on any of the first 4 days of the week. Had he done that, then given constraint that Sam answered at least 5 queries on each day would have been violated. So from Monday to Thursday he could not answer 10 queries, but yeah, on Friday he got, or the query from VA area received was 6, and there could have been 4 queries from previous day had he answered only 20 queries on the first 4 days. Then on Friday, for the first time, it was possible for him to answer 10 queries, and the same could be said for Saturday as well. Had he not answered 10 queries on Saturday, he would have had 10 or more queries on Saturday, so he could have answered 10 queries on Saturday as well. So the days on which he could have answered 10 queries were Friday and Saturday. So on Saturday or Friday he answered 10 queries, or he could have answered 10 queries. So option D is the correct answer. In the current week, if there were no pending queries of QA at the end of Saturday and only Thiru answered QA queries, the total number of queries of QA that were answered on the same day when they were received could not be less than. So basically, we have to find the total of number of queries that had to be answered on the day on which they were received. So our objective in this problem would be to minimize the number of query or keep it 0 that received on the same day and they are also answered on the very same day. So if we look at the table, then we see 5 QA queries were received on the first day, and it is also known that no query was pending from the QA area by the end of the current week, which means all queries of previous week which were pending answered by the end of this week, and there were 48 queries from QA area. So he had ample number of queries on Monday, so it was not required to answer the query that he received on that day. So if he answered the maximum possible number of queries on Monday, then the number of queries left after Monday must have been 48 minus 15 plus 5, which means 38. Now on the next day he receives two queries, but he was not required or compelled to answer these queries, as he had ample number of queries of pending nature on Tuesday as well. So if he answered maximum possible number of queries on Tuesday as well, he was left with 38 minus 15 plus 2 pending queries, which is 25. Next day he receives 5 queries, but he was not compelled to answer any of these queries, as he had 25 pending queries. So on Tuesday, so rather Wednesday, he would have answered 15 queries of the previous days plus 5 query of pending nature of that day. Will take the pending query at the end of Wednesday as 15. On Thursday again he was not compelled to answer query that he received on Thursday, as he had required number of queries that he could have answered on Thursday. So at the end of Thursday he was left with 8 queries. On Friday he received 3 more queries, but again he was required to answer only at least 2 queries on a given day. So on Thursday as well he could have avoided answering any of the queries that he received on that day. But on Saturday he had to answer one queries that he received on that day, because it is given that no query was pending at the end of the week, and it is known that week ends on Saturday, as no query is admitted or answered on Sunday. So he had to answer one query on Saturday that he received on that day. So our required answer will be 1, which is option D. In the last question, we have to check which of the following is not possible. First statement is all pending queries of the previous week could have answered by the end of Wednesday. If we calculate the total number of queries of the previous week, it comes out to be 105, and the total number of queries that could have been answered on a day could not exceed 55. So at least 2 days were required to answer all the queries of previous week. Here first statement is all pending queries of the previous week could be answered by the end of Wednesday. This is very much feasible, so it is possible. Next statement is all pending queries of the previous week could be answered by the end of Thursday. Again, it is feasible. All pending queries of previous week could be answered by the end of Friday, which is given in option C, which is again feasible. Fourth statement is all pending queries of the previous week could be answered by the end of Monday, which was not possible at all, because at max 55 queries could have been answered on Monday, but the query pending from the previous week were 105. So statement or option D is not feasible. Therefore, it has to be our answer.